Taip, tai sveiki mūsų Facebook'o žiūrovai. Mes šiandien tęsėme mūsų įprastinę rubriką. Susisiekėme su žmonėmis, kurie daro vyną, kurie mums vyną veža į Lietuvą ir bandom šitą sužinoti daugiau, išmokti apie skirtingus dalykus, negu įprastai mes darom. Ir šiandien mes pakankamai nutolstam nuo tokių įprastinių dalykų. Ragausime Trebbiano iš Abrucų itališką vyną. Tai skirsis nuo Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay ir kitų dalykų, kuriuos įpratote ragauti, nes tai yra pakankamai nedidelio regiono vynas, bet tarp baltųjų Italijos vynų tikrai gana gerai pasižymintis ir mes kalbinsim šiandien labai žymios vyninės atstovę. Vyninės, kuri daug kartų laimėjo geriausio Lietuvos baltųjų vyno titulą. Tai yra Masciarelli vyninės atstovė, Chiara Colella. So, hello, Chiara. Nice to see you in the sunny Italy. Hope
hello, Arūnas.
I hope you will send a bit of your sun to us. We have only 20 degrees today. And kind of close to the rainy weather. How is in Italy? Where you are? In which particular place?
Well, as you can see, I am in the beach. It's quite a nice beach. You know that Abrucų, my region, stretches between the Apennines, some of the highest mountains of Italy, 3,000 meters almost, and the Adriatic Sea that you can see here.
And not so many people.
Yeah, today there are not many people because actually August is the holiday month for Italians. It is difficult to find beaches very crowded before August. I don't know why, but it's still like this since the 70s. For us, it's very traditional and typical to go on holidays in August. So pretty much that is the month where you cannot find offices and companies open because everyone is traveling or is just on the seaside. Today we are still in July and it's still during the week, so not a weekend. People are working. So we will see in the next few days.
Okay, so that's a good chance still to see empty sea and available seats, so that's very good.
Exactly. I can really enjoy it.
Very nice. And we will be talking about white wine, which I think fits very well the theme. And I will open our presentation because what is our main purpose is to learn something. It's very easy to drink all the time the same wine and be happy, but of course the variety of the wine in the world is so high and the diversity of the wines that it's really shame not to try things what is made in very, very different places, and especially having in mind that you are working in quite famous winery. Could you say a few words about how this winery appeared? It's not like very, very old winery, I guess. It's kind of modern.
Yep.
Modern.
We can say actually that Masciarelli is a little bit a symbol of the birth of modern viticulture in Abruzzo, in my region. Why? Because until the 80s, basically, we had only big cooperatives collecting grapes from producers and bottling wine, and very, very little traditional wineries like Pepe or Valentini that were making amazing products, but in very in quite little amount. So the news about Masciarelli was trying to make and set a new standard for local grapes, Montepulciano and Trebbiano and Pecorino, most recently, by making these wines available for a larger number of people and proving that Abruzzo could be an amazing winemaking area. As you just mentioned, Masciarelli started in '81 thanks to the founder, Gianni Masciarelli. And he started almost from zero. He just rented 2 hectares from his grandpa and didn't come from a big family tradition with centuries of winemaking at the shoulders. No, he started from zero. He was a student of economics and decided to quit to dedicate all his life to winemaking because he just fell in love with this work.
Okay.
And basically, in a few decades, he really managed to make a new style for our local grapes. And nowadays, we are acknowledged as one of the leading leading winery of Abruzzo and one of the 100 great wineries of Italy, according to Wine Spectator. So, an amazing result in almost 40 years, just 40 years.
Yes, it also it has some mentioning in Lithuania as well. For many years, wine Marina Cvetic was winning either on red or on white wine the best Italian wine. Well, let's say like prize. Which is not very easy, having in mind that there are a lot of classical and really super great wines in Italy. Well, talking about Abrucų, it's not so easy, but blind tastings shows that that's really amazing wines. So I'm very happy that we have a chance to talk about how good these wines are and why they are so good. So let's come to some technical details. Could you tell where Abrucų you set already, between Apennines and Adriatic? And the Rome is very close to you, yes? It's just over.
Yes, exactly. As you can see, we are at the same latitude as Rome. It's a 1.5 hour drive to reach our winery, for instance. Our headquarters is based in the southern part of the region, in the province of Chieti. But nowadays we have more than 60 plots of vineyards throughout the region in all the 4 provinces. And as you see from the pictures that I gave it, what is amazing about Abruzzo is that it's a very diverse region because from the Apennines to the sea, you can go in, you have actually the space of few kilometers, like 100 kilometers to go from 3,000 meters to 0 above sea level, which means a great richness of microclimate zones and different soils that offer specific niches for different products, for different wines. Also talking about agriculture, we have a great variety of food, of vegetables and, you know, raw materials that are really great for cuisine. But when it comes to wine, also, we have many different vines, many different grapes. And specifically, we have, as Masciarelli, we have worked to try to find the best terroir, the best territory to grow each vine. So that's why we have decided to acquire more than 60 plots, which is a lot, for around 300 hectares in the whole region. Because this means, you can see in this slide our vineyards, pretty much, I mean, the biggest ones. In this way, we can really read, interpret the territory and making in each one the wine that we want to do.
Okay, so I'll say a few words in Lithuanian. Taip, tai čia svarbus dalykas atrodo, kad žemėlapis šalies, kurioje mes nebuvome, ir kalba apie kažkokius tai skirtingus vynuogynus, skirtingose vietose, 60 skirtingų plotelių, bet tai yra vienas iš būdų, kuris leidžia padėti suprasti, kaip gimsta geriausi vynai. Neužtenka pasodinti vyną pirmoji pasitaikiusioje vietoje ir tikėsis, kad bus kažkoks stebuklas. Šiai dienai Lietuvos vyno industrija yra toje stadijoje, kai mes sodiname visas vynuoges, bandome, kurios iš viso gali išaugti, bet faktiškai negalvojama, kokioj dirvoj kokią vynuogę sodinti. Visi geriausi vynuogynai yra pasodinti tobulose vietose, nes tik tobuloje vietoje tai konkrečiai vynuogei mes galime laukti labai gero rezultato. Ir kai vyndarys turi 60 skirtingų plotelių, galima tikėtis, kad kai kurie iš jų tobulai atitinka vynuogę ir dirva, kurioje ta vynuogė pasodinta, ir klimatas. Ir tada jau galima tikėtis to kažkokio įspūdingo, labai labai gero vyno. Tai reiškia, dydis kartais padeda surasti tuos geriausius plotus ir čia mes kaip tik kalbamės apie tai ir pabandysim suprasti, kuo skiriasi tos 4 provincijos, reiškia, ir kuo skiriasi dirvožemiai ten ir kokias vynuogės geriau auginti. Bet taip, šaunu matyti pliažą, gaila, mes čia gal Vilniuje reikės, bet prieš pliažą Lukiškėse darant padaryti vieną reportažą ir iš tenais. Tai tęsim kalbą apie dirvožemius ir apie Abrucų patį, reiškia, vietą. So I will return back to the presentation and let's talk a bit about soils, because you have this nice slide with 4 different provinces or places. They all have a bit different soil. I translated it to Lithuanian, so in the most cases, everywhere we could find limestone, which means that there is a lot of calcium, which is good for both, I guess, white wines and for Montepulciano. And there is also some variation. Somewhere we find a bit of dolomite, somewhere we see a more gravelly soil. So could you say a few words about these differences?
Yeah, of course, these are differences coming from the geological evolution of the regions. As I mentioned, we have this very important presence of the mountains that cut the region in 2 parts, at least 2, but many more actually. And in the northern part of the region, we have much more clay and gravel compared to the lowest part of the region, the province of Chieti, the southern, I mean, where we have more limestone. Also, the climate is very different and, of course, affect the growing and of agriculture in general. Because on the coast, and so closer to the coast, we have a full Mediterranean climate with high temperature during night and day. Instead, in the inner part of the region, we have 2 climates, the continental and the Mediterranean, which means that we can enjoy actually sometimes extreme variety of weather conditions and a wide temperature range between night and day, which is very good for Montepulciano, for instance, for red wines in general, because it helps the tannins grow very little, very fine and slowly. As I mentioned, the limestone, as you mentioned, sorry, the limestone is a very important part of our soil, and especially for the white wines that we produce in the province of Chieti, so in the southern part of the region, because it gives that specific salty taste to our wines that make them so interesting and so good to accompany with food.
Okay, so we will be looking for some saltiness in the wine. So that's the first hint.
Yeah.
So coming back to what you said, we have also grape varieties allocated to the specific area. And for white wines, we see that practically all regions are good except one, where Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon is grown in high altitude area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 550 meters above sea level. It's right under the Grand Sasso Massif. And the thing is that the climate there is very changeable, because you can easily pass in half an hour from sun to rain. That's why it's not so good for white wines. It can be very, very cold until April, sometimes even May. And frosts are quite common. That's why it's not easy at all to make wines, to make excellent grapes, first of all, in that area. But we found that, especially for the Merlot, that was the perfect soil because of the gravel and the dolomitic soil. That reminds a little bit of Bordeaux.
Okay, so we see that you grow not only local grape varieties, but in French as well. So Merlot, Cabernet, Chardonnay, Syrah.
Yeah, that was a decision that Gianni Masciarelli and the technical team made back in the 90s when they decided to launch the Marina Cvetic line and some wines like Chardonnay, as you mentioned, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah recently. And now we are also producing a Malvasia from Istra. This also is one of our last products. The thing is that Gianni Masciarelli was so convinced, so persuaded of the goodness of our territory, of Abruzzo, possibilities to make amazing wine, that he wanted to try also with the great international vines. That's why he started planting them, because he passed from promoting the local grapes that, of course, were probably underestimated at that time, to show that Abruzzo could express also in a very original, unique, and interesting way also international grapes.
Okay, good. Of course, these grapes are very good. They are known, they are famous, and I guess that many people really appreciate them. But now trend is, of course, to look for local grape varieties, and we came here to taste local grape varieties. So just a few pictures of different areas where we could see that everywhere we have hilly landscape with some mountains behind. So what is the highest altitude you could find vineyards still planted in Abruzzo? How high?
Well, I think that 550 meters is one of the highest vineyards, definitely, of the whole Abruzzo. Normally, we always choose to stay at least from 250 meters above. And for instance, we're going to taste some wines that are produced at around, between 250 and 450. So this is this is the normality of our vineyards, because we believe that the hillside, the medium hillside, is the best place to grow grapes. In fact, in summertime, as you can see, we can reach very high temperature, and if you have grapes, vineyards that are too close to the sea, they will develop too much sugar and probably be a little bit too flat and lose acidity. So to keep the berries fresh and to preserve the acidity in the wine, it's very important to have vineyards that are a little bit higher and that can enjoy the temperature range I explained before about.
So, tai kaip matote, mes matom dažnai kalvotas vietovės Italijoje, visos klasikinės zonos vyndarystėje kaip taisyklė įsikūrusios ant šlaitų, ir tas aukštis virš jūros lygio tarp 2 ir 4 ar 500 metrų yra tipiška. Ar mes žiūrėtumėm Toskanoje, ar mes būtumėm Piemonte, ar netgi Suavijoje, visada geriausi vynuogynai yra maždaug truputėlį aukštėliau. Nes klimatas iš tikrųjų šiltas ir, kaip ir sako Chiara, reikia truputį vėsos, reikia truputėlį toliau būti nuo jūros ir truputėlį aukštėliau tam, kad vynuose būtų geras balansas, o italams rūgštis yra labai svarbu. Mes kalbėjome apie surumą, kuris gali jaustis vynuose išaugintose netoli jūros, bet taipogi ir rūgštelę mes čia labai jusime. So, barrels. Is it typical to use oak barrels in in your winery?
Well, barrels for us are definitely very important. This again was one of the innovations that Gianni Masciarelli first introduced in the area in Abruzzo winemaking, because never before him French oak barrels were used to age wines. And actually, at that time, so back in the 80s, it was considered pretty much foolish from him to use French oak for Montepulciano and Trebbiano. At that time, we didn't have Chardonnay yet, but basically for our local grapes, most of the producers believed that only concrete or steel was the right way to make wines. So he completely changed, the perception of these wines and what they could be. And as I said, in the vineyards, it was very important to reduce the yields per hectare. So passing from 100,000 kilos of grapes produced per hectare to only few thousand. And also, of course, increasing the number of plants per hectare to get let's say smaller and fewer benches of grapes, but more concentrated and rich in flavors that could give wine with a better structure. So these were the innovations he put into the vineyards, but also in the cellar it was amazing, starting with the long aging in French oak barrels. Nowadays pretty much everyone is doing that, but this was something that Masciarelli started for the first time 30 years ago.
Okay, so speaking about native grape varieties, we speak about white grape varieties. We see a really nice color during the harvest. So I think we have to mention two of them. It's Trebbiano d'Abruzzo and Pecorino, like really two the most famous outside Abruzzo itself. So I find a kind of list of different Trebbiano from Italy, and that quite a lot of we could find that in Abruzzo, in Lugana, in Soave, in Emilia Romagna, in Toscana.
Yeah.
So, but in fact, this is kind of all different grape varieties. Is it true?
Yeah, it is. Actually, Trebbiano is a big family of grapes, like Malvasia, for instance. They are all different. You can find Trebbiano in France too. They call it Uni Blanc. But it's a very different kind of Trebbiano. Let's say that all these grapes are genetically related, but they are all different from each other. And the Trebbiano from Abruzzo is now considered the one that has more personality. Of course, it depends a lot on how you make it. As I explained, if you focus on low yields and some long aging in bottle and in barrel, it can really give amazing results. But otherwise, you can also have a very fun and easy to drink everyday wine made of Trebbiano. In the past, it had quite a bad reputation because it was very productive. So producers, especially those working with cooperatives, were making huge volumes of this wine, and Trebbiano tasted very, very flat. But nowadays, with the new techniques and especially with low yields per hectare, you can really have amazing grapes that can endure the barrel, so a long aging in wood, and can really last in the cellar for 20 years or more.
Okay, so if we, so just to finish this investigation, so there is kind of agreement that three grape varieties are a bit similar. So it's Verdicchio from Marche, Trebbiano di Soave, and Trebbiano di Lugana. So these three grapes are more or less similar, but of course Trebbiano Abruzzese is very different. And what is difference between Pecorino, another local grape variety, and Trebbiano? Could you just say a few these different aspects?
These two varieties are not genetically linked. They are completely different. And Pecorino is really a bit of a mystery. Compared to Trebbiano, is not productive at all. That's why in the past it was almost abandoned, almost all uprooted and replaced with Trebbiano, that allowed producers to make much more grapes and wine. Recently, in the 90s, it was rediscovered by a producer of Abruzzo that wanted to, that was looking for local grapes almost forgotten. And so in the past 20, 30 years, producers started to plant it again and to rediscover it. It is very interesting as a grape, but in our opinion, only if it is planted at a certain altitude. So not close to the seaside, because it has a, let's say, a certain trend to develop a lot of sugar. It is also very acidic, and this is the feature that ensure a right balance of the grape between acidity and sugar. But it can become too sweet if it's made close to the seaside, on the coast. So in our opinion, this is more a mountainous variety and needs to be produced on high hills.
So as far as I remember, close to your Castello de Semivicoli, there is Pecorino planted?
Yes, sure, you're right, absolutely. In fact, over there we are at least at 350 meters above sea level. And we are just right under the Maiella, Maiella Massif that you have shown also in the pictures before.
So could you say a few words if people are traveling to Italy, is it, and they would like to visit you, they will come to this particular place? Is it true that you have here a hotel and cooking school and something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Wine tourism is nowadays more and more important, and this is something that the Masciarelli family understood already at the beginning of 2000, when they decided to acquire this 17th century baronial mansion and to turn it into a green hotel and a wine resort. So definitely people can spend time here tasting our wines and discovering the territory. Also, they can, of course, visit our cellar and our vineyards. As you said, they can take local cuisine courses or also take part in the harvest. So we are trying to offer different kind of experiences that can give them an understanding of our culture, our winemaking philosophy, and our products.
Okay, so and it is open full season. What is the way?
Yeah, actually it's closed only between January and the beginning of March, because that period we can have a huge snow and it's difficult to reach, you know, the top of the hill where the castello is based. But for the rest of the year we are always open. We have also recently opened a restaurant, a temporary restaurant inside the castle that is just for the guests of the castle. And we have, of course, a swimming pool, a relax area, tasting areas, an old barrel room that is from the 19th century. I can say that it's one of the best place to understand wine tourism in the region, for sure, maybe in the whole central Italy.
Okay, nice. So yeah, I've been here. I spent a few nights. It's really a fantastic place, very modernly equipped, but with that sense of 17th century noble life. So yeah, really, I also recommend to visit, especially if you're in Rome. It's not so far away to drive, 2 hours to be here.
Yep.
So let's come now to the wines we were talking about. I just left intentionally. We don't see what kind of wine it is, but there is a rating, 92 points by James Suckling, which means that American palate is also accepting the style you are producing. What is the main markets? Which nations appreciate the most your wines?
Well, definitely the US is our first market abroad. It's one of the most important markets, I think, for many Italian wineries. It's very competitive, of course, because they are producing wines on their own, of course. But they also enjoy very much Italian lifestyle, Italian cuisine, and so also Italian wines. And we have been selling in the US for, I don't know, more than 20 years for sure. It was the first country we started to export to. And other important countries are, for sure, Japan, Germany, the UK, Belgium, and Canada also, very important, all the North America.
Okay, good. So now I have close to me another person who will taste wine with you, because I have some problems with my palate today. So Petras is joining us. I think I could...
Hello, Kiana.
Hello, Patrick.
Oh, you have very nice scenery around you.
Yeah, have you seen?
Yes, fantastic.
Very nice.
So now I have a glass of your wine, white wine from Abrucų.
Yep. This wine is a blend.
Yeah, it's a blend. It's mainly made mainly by using Trebbiano di Abruzzo grapes. Yes?
Trebbiano, Pecorino, and Cococciola. Cococciola is a third local variety. It's very acidic and is often used also to make sparkling wines in Abruzzo. Okay. But we don't do it. We just use it to add acidity to our wine, to our blend.
I once had a guest at the shop who said, I really want wine. I know what you will be like laughing out of me, but it's something like Coca-Cola, but wine.
Oh my God.
So this has lovely color. It's about citrusy, like pale citrus color. And on the nose, I can feel really nice jasmine flowers. Tiems, kas klausotės mūsų, tai iš tiesų norėčiau pasakyti lietuviškai papasakoti apie vyną. Mano taurėje yra vynas iš Abrucų, baltasis vynas, tai yra Trebbiano di Abruzzo dominuoja, taipogi yra Pecorino vynuogių ir kokočiolo. Šviesti citrinos spalva, vynas ryškiai kvepia jazminais, baltomis gėlėmis, obuoliais, melionais. Tai yra tipiški kvapai, kuriuos galima sutikti būtent Abrucų baltajame vyne. Pojūtis burnoje vidutinio svarumo, tai nėra labai sunkus vynas, bet iš tiesų pojūčio skonio daug, užpildo visą paletę. Rūgšties kiekis vidutinis, poskonis iš tiesų ilgas, kompleksiškas. Chiara, may I ask you, are you using natural yeast maybe, or prolonged fermentation for this wine? It has very nice mouthfeel, very long.
We are selecting yeasts always because we believe that some of them are good for the fermentation, some are not. And the fermentation is always made under control, so under temperature control, in stainless steel.
What about saltiness? Because Chiara was telling that there might be some saltiness in this wine.
Yes, the finish quite salt actually. Yeah.
Yeah, this is because of the limestone that is very present in the soil. We are right under the Majella Massif with the vineyards that we use for this wine, and the Majella is made basically in limestone.
Čia vyno poskonis iš tiesų labai ilgas ir netgi čia primena rūmą. Tas toks jau gana minerališkas. Ir iš tiesų ragaujant, galima sakyti, pietų Italijos baltuosius vynus, baltuosius vynus, galima tikėtis tų baltųjų gėlių aromatų. Jeigu vynas nebuvo žalia, tada neturėsim vanilės, bet turėsime obuolį, melioną. Vidutinio svarumo, nebus niekada daug rūgšties. Ir vynas iš aukštesnių štukų, iš tenai, kur galėtų būti būtent to minerališkumo, vynas turės tikrai gana sturstelis į poskonį. Labai maloniai nuteikia. Tasting this, I really would love to be near you in the beach.
Yeah, we can toast virtually at least.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, tai aš užleidžiu vietą Arūnui, jisai pratęs šitą įdomų pokalbį su Kertu.
Ačiū Petrai, ačiū už prisijungimą. So yeah, we have like different roles in this company. So
Sure.
to speak is not the taste. I have like dentist operation yesterday, so not very easy to taste properly. Okay, so this is like wine which was made in simple way. Let's say there is blending like main important issue, but that's not the best what Masciarelli winery could do. We were talking about wine which is famous even in Lithuania because it was for many times made as the like winning Lithuanian wine championship. I speak about the Chardonnay made also in Abrucų, and the difference in winemaking is, I think, very different because you want to get much more complexity and abstraction. So what usually is used additionally to the just fermentation?
Yep. Let's say that I mean the goal, the aim of these two wines is completely different. Bianco Colline Teatine is an easy-going wine, white wine, very fresh and crispy, perfect for aperitif. It's the wine that you drink, I don't know, to party with your friends. You don't have to think too much about it. It's very pleasant and fun. Chardonnay is a completely different story. It's a wine made to accompany great food. First of all, it's 100% Chardonnay, so it's not a blend. Then to keep, I mean, the best flavors from the grapes, we do a cryo maceration with the skins, so to extract the maximum from the skins, and then we start the fermentation in stainless steel and finish it in French oak barrels. So the fermentation is made also in wood, and the wine stays there for at least 16 months. The French oak is always new, so we pretty much don't use, do not reuse the barrels for a second or a third time. And that's how we can achieve a wine that is really full body, is really rich, it's very creamy. It's perfect, for instance, for risotto or also for fat baked fishes. It's definitely a kind of wine that can be used also for meditation or with very seasoned and tasty cheeses, for instance. So a wine that you can pair with more complex food and for also important occasions. By the way, it's also a wine that can be aged in the cellar for many years. So something definitely more prestigious than a simple Bianco.
Okay, good. So that's the wine which is winning you high points and appreciation by experts and collectors. and of course everyday wine, which is very good just to drink and to enjoy life. And well, I think that in the middle of summer we have to be really relaxed and just you know, to live life as nature gives us a chance. So thank you very much for joining us, and I hope that our friends on Facebook, followers, they will find some interest to open a bottle of Trebbiano from Abruzzo and to understand a bit more. And well, I of course suggest strongly to try Pecorino because that's a bit more different style. And those who are, well, Chardonnay lovers, they also could drink Chardonnay. So nice, versatile collection with all tastes could be pleased. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you to you, Arūnas. It was a pleasure to be with you today. And I really hope that your followers will enjoy this video. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so I finished the Facebook translation.